RPMs on your YouTube channel are the only thing that determine how much money you make per 1,000 views. See, the problem with most creators in the YouTube space is they try and prioritize getting the most amount of views over getting the right audience in order to get less views needed to make your simple $5,000 to $10,000 a month. In this video, I'm going to be showing you my method and my 6-part strategy in optimizing and making sure that your RPM is as highest as possible. And by the way, this works with any niche, whether you're in history, kids gaming, reaction channels, it doesn't matter. This always works. And just to show you that this works, 36 days ago, before I applied any of this that I'm about to show you, this was the RPM, $3.08 before the method. 36 days later, this is what the RPM looks like, $6.78. That literally 2.5x the RPM on the overall channel in just 36 days. So this strategy does work. And for even more proof, here is the channel. I'll start off with the refresh right here. You can see in the past 28 days, it's made $4,800, been averaging around $200 a day or so. And of course, the RPM over here at the bottom, for only 670,000 views in the last month, we've got $6.78 for RPM, and that's obviously how we got the estimated revenue. So to better show you how this works, the baseline that you need to understand is higher RPMs equal more money. And the higher your RPM is, the less amount of views you need to hit your $5,000 to $10,000 a month goal. Obviously, if you have a high RPM and you're still getting a crazy amount of views, that's even better. But like I mentioned before, most creators focus on trying to get 1 million views a video, 2 million views, 500,000 views. But the problem is their RPM is so low that the views pretty much average out. And in return, they don't make as much money. So now I'm going to show you my 6-step RPM hack. So make sure you're paying attention and make sure to actually take notes, because if you take notes and you apply this, like I just showed you, in 36 days, my RPM 2.5x. So the first step is identifying the core problem and understanding it, which is the fact that creators only focus on getting more views to earn more money. And if you've been doing that, which you probably have been, I don't blame you, but you're doing YouTube wrong. Most people are also ignoring a setting that affects how much each view is worth. And when I show you exactly how to do this, you're also going to see that YouTube themselves warn you and try and scare people away from it, because they know in return it's going to make you more money, but people get scared of that, and obviously people want to make money, so they end up chickening out. So now that we're understanding that we need the right audience and not trying to view max and trying to get the most amount of views, we can actually move on to number 2, which is how ad RPM actually works. So there's obviously two things. There's a CPM and the RPM. You don't need to worry about the CPM because that's the cost that the advertiser pays, so do not worry about that. Only thing that matters to us as creators is the RPM, because that's how much revenue per mil or revenue per 1,000 views that we actually get and take home. So to simply put it, if YouTube shows the wrong ad on your videos, which means that it doesn't align with your audience, nobody clicks on the ad, which means the advertiser leaves, which means you earn less per 1,000 views. But after following the 6-step method that I'm going over and it has the right ad, the people click, the advertisers fight over your channel, meaning it's pretty much a bid war and they're only going up and up and up, and obviously you're earning more per 1,000 views, your RPM is skyrocketing. So that's how RPMs work. It's very simple. Basically, the more conversions and the more money the advertisers make by placing ads on your videos, they're going to increase the RPM because they're seeing a higher return. So they have no reason to give you a cheaper RPM because they're making more money by placing ads on your videos. Now, it's very important that you keep watching to fully learn how to 3x your RPMs, because at the very end of this, which is the 6th step, I'm going to give you a secret tip at the end of this. And obviously, you know what I'm talking about because I have multiple channels. You can see I also have YouTube plaques behind me, but I've been doing this for years, and trust me, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Otherwise, you would have clicked off this video, so you know it's very educational. Getting into number 3 now is you need to understand and know your audience before you even post a video. You need to understand 3 different things, and these determine everything. Number 1 is understanding your age range. You also need to look at your male and female ratio, and you need to look at niche and interest that this audience has. This channel right here is a kids channel, which means 90 to 95% of the total viewers that are watching this are kids, typically under the age of 10. Let's say there was an advertisement placed on one of my videos for a car that just came out. It would give me an insanely low RPM because kids that are watching this video, again, like I just said, they're typically under 10 years old. They don't have their own money. They have to ask for their parents' permission to buy anything. They don't have their own spending power. They can't buy anything off an advertisement. But say Mr. Beast put an advertisement for Mr. Beast Feastables or one of his Mr. Beast toys or an action figure or a plushie, something that's kids oriented, which has to do with the audience on this channel, the RPMs would go up because those people, maybe the kids can convince their parents it's a cheaper toy, maybe $10 to $20. It has to do and it resonates with the audience, which means that they have a higher likelihood of buying and actually clicking on the ad. So we'd also identify the age range, which we just went over, and we can see that the age and gender for this in the last 28 days, 60% female, 39% male. And if we look at the age range here, I know I said it was a kids channel, but if you look at right here, this is close to 80% of the total viewers. It says age range from 25 to 44. But how kids channels work typically is kids don't have their own YouTube account, so they use their mom or dad's iPhone, tablet, iPad, TV, it doesn't matter. So that's typically why. But I can tell you and ensure you that these are kid audiences because the comment section on my videos, they're very kid friendly, and obviously the videos that we produce on this channel are for kids. Someone my age would not be watching this content. So you need to put yourself in your audience shoes, which can be hard sometimes because obviously I'm not a 10-year-old kid, so it's very hard to see what people like and what they have interest in. But by doing some basic research, you can see what things are trending, what toys, what genres, what things that they're interested in, or even think back to your own time when you were younger or wherever the age range is on your channel, and you can pretty much determine it by that. Now, number 4 is just as important as any of these other ones on the list, and that's the blocking logic, which is blocking specific ads. And to dumb this down for you, if you have a kid/family channel, which again is this channel right here, you're going to want to block gambling, dating, alcohol, sexual content, anything that's not ideal or doesn't resonate with the audience. So again, like I just said, if there was a gambling advertisement here, these kids are 10 years old or younger, they're not interested in gambling. They don't even know what gambling is. They probably don't even know what they were looking at if they saw an ad for that. They're interested in toys, plushies, different things that actually resonate with the audience, cartoon shows, all things like that. Even though that these companies and sites might have a lot of money, they're not going to see conversions, so they're not going to pay you more money, which means that your RPM would go down drastically. Also, another thing to note is if you have a high audience of, say, male, female, you can enable or block specific ads, because if you have a high female audience, typically females don't gamble. So something instantly that I would do if I had a high female audience is block gambling, because I know that females statistically don't like gambling or don't want to see it or don't partake in it. If you have a finance and crypto channel, you want to enable financial products, ads, and you want to block dating, anything that pretty much distracts them. Even if you have a religious and motivational channel, you can block almost all sensitive, which are risky categories. People that are watching religious content, motivational content, they're not really going to want to see a dating ad, gambling, alcohol, anything like that. They're focused on their goals and they're focused on these niches, which would be religious and motivational. So you have to block things that don't align with that. If you made it this far, congratulations. You've already made it further than 99% of people who actually clicked on this video, because most people don't want to actually learn. They want to look like they're taking action, but in all reality, they're going to stay in the same place. So just to make sure if you're paying attention, comment something that you've learned so far from watching this video, or something that you're still confused about, and I'm going to go through the comments. I'm going to reply, heart some, and if you're confused about something, I'll explain it in the comments with you there. So now we're on to the final 2 points, which you can see number 6 is blurred, but that's for a very specific reason, because you need to apply these steps in an actionable way. So number 5 is the long game. Now, right off the bat, I'm not going to lie to you, your RPM will not spike overnight. Like I said before, it took 36 days for my RPM to 2.5x, but I showed you the proof. You know it works. You made it this far in the video, and you wouldn't click if you thought that I was just another BS guru trying to influence you to get something. Now, over the next few weeks and months, YouTube is going to learn what ads perform well, not only on your videos, but your overall channel. Higher quality advertisers are going to start prioritizing your channel. They're going to see, okay, I'm making more money by putting ads on this channel, this video, so we're going to start paying him more and more and more and more. There's going to be a bid war on your channels, and it's kind of awesome because you just make more money. If you've been taking notes and you're fully understanding step 1 through 5 so far, number 6, which I'm about to reveal to you right now, is going to make sense, and you're going to be able to skyrocket your RPM. But just before I reveal step number 6, which is going to put everything together, if you want to have a chance to work with me one-on-one, the link for that is going to be in the description. But I will warn you, do not apply if you're not serious in making money with faceless YouTube channels. If you made it this far in this video, you clearly know that I have authority in the space and I know what I'm talking about, but only apply if you're serious. And I'm not going to lie to you, you're going to need some capital, a minimum of $500 to $1,000 in order to actually make this work. YouTube is just like any other business. You have to have some money to start. So only apply if you're serious and you have some capital. Now that we got all that out of the way, number 6 is the actionable step, which is how to actually do this. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So you want to head over to your YouTube channel. You want to open YouTube Studio, go to settings in the bottom left, and you want to go to ad categories on the left-hand side. Now there's going to be 3 different options: URLs, sensitive categories, and general categories. We're going to go to sensitive categories first. Now again, this is all very dependent on your niche, your audience, your age range, demographic, all of that. But because I'm running a kids channel, you can see that I have alcohol and I have gambling blocked. Now you can go through and you can block a lot of these, but since I have a kids-based audience, I'm going to go through and I would look at anything that doesn't appeal or that they wouldn't click on or would convert as an advertiser. So something like religion probably wouldn't work, so I'd block that. Casino wouldn't do that. Reproductive health wouldn't do that. I would just go through each of these, and again, depending on your audience, the age range, the demographic, all of that, you're going to go through and block which ones. Now, you don't want to block all of these because then that would be pretty much almost all the advertisers. But what you can do also is go to general categories and say you look at apparel. We know kids love clothes, but if we go to apparel, we can look at clothing, we can go to footwear, we can look at jewelry, sunglasses, watches, accessories. We can dumb it down and get more and more specific of what we actually want to block, because kids love clothes, but kids don't really love watches. So I wouldn't want a watch advertiser on this channel because it wouldn't convert and it would just lower my RPM for no reason. So make sure to follow the steps 1 through 6 in the exact order. And once you do that, you want to head to sensitive categories, general categories, and go through. It takes maybe 5 minutes. And this is something that is going to apply over time. Like I said, it's not going to raise your RPM overnight, but over the next few weeks and few months, your RPM is going to go up. YouTube is going to target the right advertisers and your RPMs are going to skyrocket.